a sampling of The Likeable Lich by Likeable, published by the Eternal Publishing. Thanks to the Eternal Council for approving of the publishing of this book. Thanks to my friends who have died to perpetuate my existence, the families of whose souls I have destroyed to continue it, and to my friends who saved me from myself. Thank you so much, because without you, this book would not be possible. Reasons for writing. I have designed this book in such a way to help all liches out there achieve the highest potential and become, as I have dubbed, a likable lich. The goal of this book is to help my fellow liches improve their MR skills, or otherwise known as mortal relations. Now, that being said, mortals can also benefit from this book to help bridge the gap between the two different mindsets of lich and mortal. The book will also help indicate the responsibilities of those who take up the great honor of lichdom. The other purposes of this book is to explain my method of soul collection and destruction that I will show to be more productive and infinitely more moral. I also wish to show by example why my method I have dubbed the Likeable system is better than what I have dubbed the Fatal system. The table of contents. Chapter 1 will be of my story. Chapter 2 will be the fatal method in detail. Chapter 3, the death of a fatal method. 4, an alternative methods. Number 5 will be the likability method. 6 is victim relations. 7 is making allies. 8 is who to thrall. 9 is hero prevention. And 10 is examples of my method's success. Now, let us begin Chapter 1. As my mortal soul grows older, I reflect upon my past and often wonder how I made it this far. At one point in time, I was killing hundreds of souls every decade. I became fat and drunk on the consumption of souls, and one could aptly describe me as a soul addict. I consumed many souls for my own pleasure rather than to maintain my immortal soul. I ended up destroying souls of my close friends and family in my desperate hunger for souls. After the deaths, I had no material attachment to the world, and isolated myself in the mountains with those freshly made thralls of my friends and family. I made a great temple there in the mountains, in which I would rule over the local mountain villages and consume the souls of many, but I was never satisfied. My arrogance grew to new heights at this time, as I focused on creating these great rituals and uncovering more knowledge of the mechanics of the universe. I was on what many would call a soul high, as the mortal parts of my mind were slowly deteriorating. My arrogance nearly killed me, bringing me incredibly close to absolute destruction. I was on one of my mad rages, calling the population of a local village, and I came across a young couple. I, without thinking, without hesitation or remorse, killed and consumed the souls of both of them. I sadly destroyed them right in front of their young child, no older than the age of 5. The boy's name, I would later learn, was Legeth Kerr, and he spent the rest of his life trying to hunt me down and destroy me. The enemy I made that day haunted me, even now, despite the radical changes I have made in my reforms. Legeth gathered many of the people I had heard over the years, such as Scylla Dane, whose family I was killed by one of my hill giant thralls, a dwarf by the name of Warden Redstone, who lost his brother to my hand. Legeth gathered these mortals and more, all to end my immortal life. Warden would name the group the Party. The Party, in my mind, was nothing more than a nuisance, so I sent small creatures at them at first, no more than 2 pairs of goblins, and they failed. The Party killed them all, those poor sods, and upon reflection, if I really wanted them dead, I would have sent more. I think in some way I was bored. There was no challenge to my power, and no one to share it with. This provided me, at least in some small part, a form of entertainment, a challenge. I sent progressively more massive and more difficult minions at them, until they did something I did not expect. They broke into my room and killed one of my thralls and stole his amulet. This was inconvenient for me because, while they did not know it, they had my phylactery, and if they were to destroy it, I would be in quite a pickle. The Party began to do things outside of my control, and things that I never expected. Instead of, stopping my men and robbing a bank, they waited until they were a mile out of the city before jumping them, and they kept the gold, no less. When I thought they were going to do the logical thing, they would do almost the complete opposite. They got into bar fights repeatedly and killed a random god or two. And, they messed around for about a year, going on some random quest in some random city until they made their way back to my home. Despite their shenanigans, they defeated most of my gods and killed my thralls quite quickly. They entered my throne room, and I could feel my time had come. An epic battle ensued. Warden died from my stone giant thrall after being thrown into a wall. Scylla died when one of their own wizards cast a fireball at me and accidentally killed her. When it was all said and done, it came down to Legeth and I. He tried to strike me down, and I saw my life flash before my eyes as he struck me in the head. When I reached my hands up to feel the top of my head, he had only narrowly missed my brain. If I were to assess my amount of life at that point, I would say it would be a numerical value of 1. In my last act, I would hit him with chain lightning, in which he would die. I reflect upon these things, and I saw the error of my ways. I nearly created death from my failures. I spent much time alone contemplating, and found no happiness. I decided it was time to explore what I may have missed. So I reflected upon my time watching Legeth, as I often did in my boredom. The young man, despite his life, was happy, and I did not know why. After a great deal of thought, I concluded that, despite how horrid his life may have started, he made great relationships along the way that, at least in some way, made it worthwhile. And so, my greatest failure inspired my greatest creation. Yes, Legeth inspired the Likeable method that, if applied, likely would not have created my arch nemesis, and the boy likely would have lived a nice, peaceful life. So ends chapter 1 of the Likeable Lich. If you wish to learn more and to continue reading of this book, I would recommend you purchase a final copy from the Eternal Publishing. Thank you so much, and have a good